Get in on the secret. September is one of the best times to visit the Boardwalk Plaza Hotel in Rehoboth Beach. The weather is grand, and just steps from the sand, you can relax and experience the convenience of their oceanfront location right on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk. Enjoy Victoria's Restaurant, the charming Plaza Pub and room service. Visit boardwalkplaza.com and book your perfect getaway today, or call 800-33-BEACH for fast, friendly assistance. Thanks to the Boardwalk Plaza for being the Bridge Podcast Network sponsor.
Why do Christians love a good old chicken sandwich? It's the Why Do Christians podcast. Why do Christians love Chick-Fil-A? Hey, my name's Mark Dickey. I host the afternoon show on the Bridge radio station. My co-hosts are Pastor Bert Miller, Pastor Josh Dupiche from Solid Ground Church and Hope Church. How's it going, guys?
Going great.
I didn't want to speak for Josh. I also am in a favorable disposition.
Okay, great. All right. Very good. Very good. Makes sense. Makes sense. So we actually released this episode a long time ago.
Long ago.
Why do Christians love Chick-fil-A?
I had a full head of hair back then.
I was at Chick-fil-A when you guys were making this episode.
Wow. I remember that.
See, yeah.
You had lunch with us right before.
I did. See?
That's
where
funny.
I was.
He said, I'm going to stay here and enjoy food.
He was part of this episode.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So we're going to share the episode. We just wanted you to know that Josh is still part of the podcast, even though you're not going to hear anything else from him.
Yes.
Super quiet.
Yeah, he's still here. Okay, but why? This is another rerun, and just frankly, I'm kind of angry at us.
Oh, okay.
All right. I feel like we let ourselves down. We let them down, Mark.
Yeah.
Why are we why are we doing this?
Okay. All right. We can let the cat out of the bag.
Can we actually do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So Why Do Christians, we are starting a YouTube channel, and you're going to be able to watch us, our beautiful, I mean, you missed Bert's head of hair, but we're going to be
still with us. Still with us in spirit. In the arms of the angels.
But
far away from here.
We've really wanted to be able to do this podcast in a video format for a long time, and we are finally doing it. So that is coming next week.
So this is our last week of no video.
Yeah, so you could dress exactly like that.
Listen, buddy, if I choose to wear just the rear part of a horse costume, that's my prerogative.
I was wondering what the front half of that horse was doing earlier. Hey, enjoy the episode. This is the Why Do Chick-fil-A podcast.
Chick-fil-A, I'm Chick-fil-A. This is Chick-fil-A.
Hey, welcome to the show. My name's Mark Dickey. I host the afternoon show on a Christian radio station called The Bridge. My co-host is Bert Miller. He's lead pastor at Solid Ground Church in Lewis, Delaware. Bert, how are you today?
Well, Mark, Polynesian sauce, Dickey. I'm doing great, man.
That's my chosen sauce.
Is it really?
It is.
Wow. I don't blame you. It's a great sauce.
Yeah.
It's a great sauce.
Well, then I got diabetes, so sometimes...
Is there sugar in it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
It's like pure sugar.
You know what's weird? I just assumed because it's sauce that it contained no sugar.
That's actually what poly stands for in Polynesian. It stands for all of the sugar.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. Okay. Man, I this is really going to cause me to reevaluate like a lot of life choices. Now realizing that no, sauces absolutely contain sugar.
100%. 100%. If there's any bit of sweetness to it, yeah.
I, like a naive rube, just went along with all their ranch and all their vinaigrettes. I didn't even think about it. I just went, oh, I'm sure it's healthy.
Yep. Well, right now you are but a nugget. I will grow you to a full 12 piece, a full 12 count.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's fine. It's an interesting illustration. Okay, so like I'm at nugget like a seedling, but we'll grow into a full.
Well, we'll say Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Okay. I've been called a lot of things in life, Mark. I've never been called a nugget before that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we call our daughters sometimes. Just these little, just a little nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's endearing. I just feel like it's weird to say to
A grown man.
A grown man. Hey there, little nugget. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm 46 years old.
Are you?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, anyway, so we're here. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, we are here to talk about is Enigma the right word? That is Chick-fil-A. It's just kind of this all around beloved franchise company in the Christian circle.
Yeah.
I actually knew of a radio host he lives in he goes to another school. He made a post. He's like, I have done radio for 12 years and I did one break saying that I wasn't a fan of Chick-fil-A and I've never gotten that much response. It was like the entire listener base.
The body of Christ turned on him, huh? Okay.
Yeah. And it's just a really interesting thing that why do Christians love Chick-fil-A so much?
Yeah, man.
I actually didn't like it at first.
Take it back. Dial it in. We don't want to get this podcast canceled. Like,
no. I just wasn't into it, and then one day it kind of clicked, and I've been a believer ever since.
What? That's so okay. What made it click for you?
Well, as a kid, I was one of those chicken nugget kids for a long time, and Chick-fil-A nuggets were just different. Mm-hmm. They weren't garbage.
They were actual pieces of chicken.
But as a child, I wanted the garbage nuggets. And so actually my 3-year-old, she's not crazy about Chick-fil-A nuggets either. Like she would much rather what a tangent. Nobody cares about this.
I mean, I kind of care. No, like, and to be fair, the reason I'm digesting this, if you will, is because I hear. So the way my weird brain works, because I have to write sermons so much, little things like that, little stories like that, they are sermon illustrations in the making for me. Okay. So even as you're saying, like, like I preferred the bad thing for me instead of that, like the real thing. I'm like, oh, that'll preach.
Yeah. But I mean, now I love Chick-fil-A. I worked at a Chick-fil-A when I was in community college. Mm-hmm. When I graduated college, I worked at a different Chick-fil-A. And honestly, I mean, I liked it. It tastes good.
Yeah.
It's a good place. What really got me when I was working there, it was just, I needed a job, and that's the place that was hiring. Mm-hmm. And they were closed on Sundays, and that was important to me because I was going to church, and I was a new believer at the time. But the fact that I would unload these trucks, that was my job. It was like me and all these girls working there. I was like, oh, Mark's like 8 inches taller and like a stockier build. Mark, you're gonna unload the truck every week.
The chicken trucks?
Yeah. And I would see these like full on like fillets of chicken.
Yeah.
Show up. I'm like, oh. And I would see the people in the back like actually breading things, and you kind of, it's like, oh, there's actual cooking is happening in the back here. You're not just ripping something off and sticking it in a microwave.
Right.
And that was the thing that kind of got me. Even though Chick-fil-A is more expensive sometimes, it's like I would rather eat that.
I'm salivating a little bit as you're recounting the story of working with raw chicken. There's something in me that just, I love that taste. You know, I think actually
Salmonella?
time. Yeah, that's right.
Raw chicken.
Yeah, that's really not, that's also not I'm learning all kinds of things about my dietary habits this episode that are giving me like calls for alarm. No, man, I'll tell you, first time I had Chick-fil-A, and what got me hooked, it was before, so we have this episode of Why Do Christians Love Chick-fil-A? I would say my love of Chick-fil-A started before I even had my conversion experience of coming to know the Lord. I can remember distinctly the first Chick-fil-A I ever went to, Mark. This is, I don't know what this says about my public
salvation.
Well, no, like my education. Like we used to, in like grade school, we would take once or twice a year a field trip to the Dover Mall.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? And I would look forward to, because that was the only Chick-fil-A that I knew of. They had a Chick-fil-A in the Dover Mall food court, and there'd be a nice old lady who had like a tray with little chicken pieces.
Right.
And she'd try it. I'm like, okay, and I'd take a bite. I'm like, this is a nugget on a bun. I am in. And so like I have loved that it's the taste for me before we talk about any kind of, company ethic or religious history with any of it. And that's certainly there. I just love the taste of it. So yeah.
You know what I think? I plan to talk about this later in the episode, but I feel like we have sold Chick-fil-A so hard right now.
Yes.
At the beginning, that anyone who thinks they turn this on for like a non-biased opinion,
not going to happen.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I just want to make the point, just because a company is Christian or has Christian values does not mean that they can do no wrong.
Oh yeah.
And so sure. I do not look at Chick-fil-A as this perfect company.
Yeah.
I give them my business, but I just want to say first and foremost that as we kind of dive in,
right.
I ate lunch there before this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
was your episode prep. That's what it was.
yeah. It was research.
No, but you're right. Like the quality is a big deal. Like I can remember one of the jobs I had when I was younger. I worked at a Christian bookstore, right? And they would have like the Christianized candy. So they'd have like chocolate bars with crosses in them and mints with scripture verses around. And here's what I can say: just because it's Christian-y doesn't mean it tastes good. So I would never say buy it just because there's an application in that way. No, I just like the taste of the stuff. I mean, I think it's not what is behind American Christendom obsession with Chick-fil-A, but let's just acknowledge we like it. Like you and me personally, we like the food, we like the experience. Pretty fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that you did a little bit of research.
I did.
And
I ate a lot of Chick-fil-A in prepping for this episode.
I'm excited because I've gone through like the employee training twice.
Yeah.
And you've used some words where I'm like, oh yeah, I know about that. Oh yeah, I know about that. So I'm curious like what you found.
Yeah. Well, Mark, it's my pleasure to to talk about that a little bit. So Chick-fil-A, if we're tracing sort of the history of, why might Christians be favorably disposed towards Chick-fil-A? And let's just from the jump just say Chick-fil-A has nothing to do with if someone is right with God or being a Christian, right? So this is not a thing of like, if you're a Christian, you will love Chick-fil-A. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're just saying that it tends to be that Christians, many a Christian here in America love Chick-fil-A as their fast food restaurant of choice. Mm-hmm. Pretty fair to say? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So company was started by a guy named Truett Cathy, who was a devout Southern Baptist. Cathy had high views of Scripture, had high views of Christianity. In fact, Chick-fil-A's mission statement, and he wanted to impose his faith values into the way that he ran a company. So this is famously why they don't they don't operate on Sundays. Was part of that was giving everybody a guaranteed day of rest. It's also space for church and that type of thing. Chick-fil-A's mission statement is to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us, and to have a positive influence on all who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. So when we're talking about this idea of is Chick-fil-A a religious organization? It's not a church, but clearly there is a theistic worldview behind, and theistic meaning like belief in God, worldview behind the formation of their company and how they have policies. So for instance, like you work for them, so you might remember in terms of how they have standards of conduct for employees, they have a thing called second mile service. Remember?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember like what you learned with that?
I mean, second mile meaning you go the extra mile. So it's just a funny way of saying it, but don't just do what you're
don't just do what you're expected to do.
Like, so I mean, we ate together. We had lunch together at Chick-fil-A. And they brought your food over to you, and your drink didn't have a straw, and you were getting up to get your straw.
I was livid. About to flip the table.
And the guy had already come back.
Yeah.
And like he noticed that the employees, like when they drop the food off at the table, they kind of do this scan.
Yeah.
Do they need anything?
Yeah.
Is there any trash there that I can grab? Does that drink look like it's not full? Can I fill that drink up? And just something you don't see at other fast food restaurants.
Correct. But the reason that they even call it second, I mean, that's the exact principle. The reason that it's even called second mile service is a Bible quote. It comes from Jesus in Matthew 5:41, where Jesus says, if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's the idea behind it. Well, where did that come from? That came from a guy that believed in the Bible and wanted those kinds of values to be part of his company. I think that's one of the reasons that Christians enjoy Chick-fil-A and the way they do it. It's kind of like, so just cards on the table. If you guys haven't picked this up, like if this is your first episode with us, you're going to definitely gather that as we go. But if you've been listening for a little bit, maybe listen to other episodes, you might gather that Mark and I can be a little nerdy, right? For me, I love Star Wars. I love all kinds of stuff like that. And more than once in my life, Mark, I've gone to a Comic-Con. Like I've gone to this place where people there's going to be a smell in the room that I know. People are going to be dressing up in different nerdy outfits, like products that like might appease my nerdy interests will be for sale there. And just the entire atmosphere of it speaks to a tribe that I'm a part of, right? Well, Chick-fil-A is like that, where, okay, there are certain aspects of the culture, not just how it's run, but just the entire environment that's going to appeal to people of a Christian worldview. So for instance, maybe you go in Chick-fil-A and maybe you're not a Christian and this is like, you didn't even know that they were doing this. You go in the restroom, right? And there's like soft music playing in the restroom. There's no words to it. It's kind of like a soothing, it's a positive, encouraging music. What is it? Usually it's a contemporary Christian song or a worship song that they've taken the lyrics off of. That's our tribe. That's our people. And so I would say it's infused into so much of the way that the organization operates and is run. And that's to say nothing of some of the controversies that Chick-fil-A in the public eye has been embattled in, but I know that they've certainly caught flack over the years for giving to various Christian organizations that may hold traditional biblical values or are Christian ministries. And so, Chick-fil-A, it's a restaurant, but there is this sort of consensus among at least evangelical Christians that, hey, these are our people.
Yeah. And you just made me think of just kind of parents who go to Chick-fil-A and they recognize that these are their people. I've known a lot of parents who have helped and really encouraged their kids to get like their first job at a Chick-fil-A, specifically because of things like the second mile service, where you could get a job anywhere and who knows who's going to train your kid how to be a good employee. But at places like Chick-fil-A, where they are, the manager might not even be a Christian.
Sure.
But the handbook was written with Christian values in mind. And so I've known a lot of people who have sent their kids to get their first job or their second job at a Chick-fil-A specifically because it kind of, it's that raise your children as the way they should go. And
absolutely. Proverbs, yeah. Well, no, but even then, so the way that the company is run, it's just something that just sprung to mind here. I had a friend who, he used to be on staff at a church down in Atlanta. And it was the Cathy family's church. And actually their church was known as jokingly among staff as the church that Cathy built. And what they meant was the Cathy family, they funded this church, their constitution and bylaws, the way that they worked with employees, they literally just lifted from the Chick-fil-A manual in terms of like how they do staff things. And they just translated it to their specific ministry context, which is wild, but it fits because of, hey, there's already an assumed biblical worldview in how this thing was written.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning a second ago about how, some people might not like Chick-fil-A because of stances that they will take or other ministries that they will give money to. I've seen a lot of people, making Facebook posts like, never go to Chick-fil-A again. Like, how could you, or someone posts a picture and they've got a Chick-fil-A cup in the, in the background. And it's like, how could you support that business? Yeah. How could you, what do you think about that?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because they're catching that from both sides of the coin now. So several years ago, it was, they would catch flack from certain LGBT advocacy groups for their support of, I think it was Focus on the Family, or a couple of organizations that supported traditional marriage. And so they were seen as bigoted and these kinds of things. And this was a time when a lot of right-leaning Christians sort of rallied around Chick-fil-A. No, these are definitely our people, right? And they said, they affirm our values and what have you. But recently, the opposite end of the political / religious social spectrum has turned on Chick-fil-A. At least over the summer, there was an issue where people started to accuse Chick-fil-A of going woke. And they said that because Chick-fil-A had hired some inclusivity people in their higher rungs of leadership in terms of how they do things. And then most notably, one of the things that Chick-fil-A did that caused a lot of people on the right to become very upset and suggest boycotting was they stopped funding to two large organizations that they had been known to give to, the Salvation Army and FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And so Christians on the other side felt like, man, this is a slap in the face. And so they said, listen, these are not our people now. None of it has anything to do with the food. It's okay, what's the company doing? Mm-hmm. And so they've kind of been in this weird in-between now of, okay, one side didn't like them for the longest time, and I don't know if they do now, but now the other side is mad as well. And it does beg the question that I know that some of us feel this tension is, okay, like, should we only buy from businesses that support our values? Right? Like
Right.
That's the thing to chew on.
Right. That concept is wild to me.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, and I'm thinking out loud here, like, businesses exist to make money.
Uh-huh.
We buy the product from them. The products that I buy, I will buy things that I need, things that I want. I'm not going to buy things that contradict my values. Mm. But I mean, how often do we buy things and not care who made it?
Right. Or how it was made. Yeah.
What country? What kind of, but there's it's almost like there's this hyper focus that every company has to be like this leader in the community.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing when they are. It's
Right.
amazing because when they've got, if a company has a lot of money and they give it away, they can do more than just sell chicken.
Right.
But like, why do we have to make it this big thing?
Well, I think culturally, part of it is we are a culture that's very black and white in terms of our allegiances, specifically when it comes to endorsements. I'll give you an example. So I have a friend who's a pastor who used a quote in his sermon from a pastor that he really respected. Quote itself, pretty non-controversial, just a thing about the Bible. Lady came up to him after the sermon and said, okay, you quoted this guy, but here are these other things that the guy has said that we don't agree with as a church. And my friend was kind of dumbfounded because what she was basically saying was, listen, to quote anyone is a blanket endorsement of everything they've ever said or done. Right?
Right.
Which,
right.
well, who can stand to that? But this is just kind of what we expect. I mean, you see a little bit in the worship scene right now where churches go, okay, this group put out this song. Can we sing it if we disagree with them about theology? It's not even related to the song.
Right.
Because it's, okay, you're either all in or all out on somebody. And I don't think the world works that way.
No.
So like, here's what I would say. Like, if we're sort of chewing on the question, should we only buy from businesses that support our values? Biblically speaking, I think there's an interesting thing to note. Number one, I think when we're answering that question, we should say at the jump, you should always obey your conscience. Okay, so if you feel convicted to not buy from a place because you don't believe in how they're spending their money or how their product was made, you should be obedient to that. I think the book of Romans gives a lot of precedent for that idea of, hey, if you think it's a sin to not eat meat, then you better not eat, then you better not eat meat, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you think it's a sin to eat meat, you better not eat meat.
Right.
But Paul's application would also be, but don't tell somebody else that. Don't impose that standard on them. I think this is important for us to realize that, listen, at the end of the day, we need to be careful not to impose rules on people that the scriptures themselves have not explicitly outlined. This is what Jesus got on the Pharisees about all the time. When they have the 600 plus commands of the Old Testament, and they add to those rules and they equate their traditions with the rules, Jesus has a real hard time with that, and he butts heads with them. And so when it comes to this idea of, okay, like, well, what would the Bible say about me, buying something that, what if I don't know, I buy a jacket and it turns out I didn't know, but the jacket was made in a sweatshop, or the jacket was made by a company that funds values that I don't agree with. Like,
Right.
have I sinned against God and the people of God if I buy that jacket? Biblically speaking, no. Here, let me just read you this little bit of passage. This is in 1 Corinthians 10, verses 25 through 31. And the context for the passage is, you have these Christians who are in ancient Corinth, and they're dealing with what's called meat sacrifice to idols. In other words, in Corinth, you had a big temple scene of sacrifices going to the goddess Aphrodite, and they would kill these animals, and then they would take meat that they didn't use in their pagan rituals, and they would sell it in the marketplace. Okay, and so the Corinthians are like, okay, we know that animal was dedicated to this goddess that we think is demonic, that we think is not real. And so, what happens if I'm in the marketplace and I buy this hunk of meat that it turns out actually it's got a really bad connotation behind it? Like, am I sinning against God? And so, with that in mind, this is what Paul writes to the Corinthian Christians in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 25 through 31. He says, "Eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience. For," and he quotes the Bible, "the earth is the Lord's and everything in it." And then he goes on, he says, "If an unbeliever invites you to a meal and you want to go, eat whatever's put before you without raising questions of conscience. But if someone says to you, 'This has been offered in sacrifice,' then do not eat it for both the sake of the one who told you and for the sake of conscience." In other words, he's saying, listen, like, go to dinner with people, all right? But if while you're there, like, you're eating, somebody goes, "Hey, that was meat that was sacrificed, another thing." He goes, that's going to hurt your witness if people are just looking at you and being like, well, okay, so-and-so on board with you eating that meat. See what he's saying? Like, the meat itself isn't the issue. It's what your partaking of it may do to your witness to others. And so, but he absolutely clarifies in verse 29. He says, "I'm referring to the other person's conscience, not yours." Why? He says, "For why is my freedom being judged by another's conscience? If I take part in the meal with thankfulness, why am I denounced because of something I thank God for?" And so he says, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. And that's the idea right now. It's okay. Like, I just think it's unreasonable to think, okay, I can only operate in a space where I will know how everything has been made, and every business, okay, will operate within my standards, even if they're not Christians. And unless they do, I won't be able to partake in it. Like, my question is just, how far does that line go? Mm-hmm. Okay. So for instance, okay, you and I both, we drive cars that use gasoline. Mm-hmm. Okay. Probably most people do at this point. Maybe there, in the little bit of time from when we record this to when somebody's listening to it, there's a tremendous change in how people's automobiles work. But chances are good most people here are listening to this use cars with gas. Okay. Well, here's the deal, Mark. Most gas stations I've ever been in, like when I go inside, if I'm buying a bag of combos or whatever, normally they have a section where they're selling cigarettes or they're selling pornography. Okay, that's just part of what the gas station does. Is it right? No, but it's there. Okay. Am I going to withhold using fossil fuels because of some purchase choices of the gas station? No, I'm not. My car needs gas. But let's take it even a step further. Let's say you find a gas station that doesn't sell those things. Awesome. Okay. Can you prove that the gas that station is using has not come from, let's say, people in Saudi Arabia, sheiks, those whose allegiance is to Allah, not your God, people who may come from cultures where it is not just believed, it is commonplace accepted that there are classes and those are a good thing, that wealth and prominence is more important than a person's personhood. Like it's a completely different worldview, like, of the people who are selling the oil to the country. So are you just going to get rid of all oil? Most of us would say, no, that's ridiculous. And so we would have to conclude that, okay, I don't know that a company's, like, all of their practices are going to be the thing that makes me buy from it or not. But what I would say is, okay, with the instance of the gas station, don't buy the pornography.
Right.
Right. Like, don't, this is not a comment on is smoking a sin or not. I'm just looking at this from the perspective of smoking kills. Like we know that it's bad for you. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where I say, don't invest in the product that promotes the thing that you are against. But when it comes to like a blank slate boycott across everything that may offend you, again, I think you need to be obedient to your conscience. So if you feel convicted to boycott, if you feel convicted to not buy from that company, then don't buy from it. At the same time, again, Paul has this thing that he says, I love this. This is in 1 Corinthians 5, 9 and 10, where he's talking about not judging people who are outside of Christ. In other words, like, yeah, we need to discern within the church, like how we fellowship with people and all that stuff. But his big thing is, listen, I don't expect somebody who doesn't know Jesus to act like somebody who knows Jesus.
Right.
Because people are, apart from Christ, they're still dead in their sin. They can't know how to walk with God. And so he says this in 1 Corinthians 5, 9, 10. He says, I wrote you in my letter, a letter that's before this one that it's lost to history. He says, not to associate with sexually immoral people, okay? Because there's a big sexual immorality scandal happening in the Corinthian church. But listen, but then he clarifies what he meant by that. He goes, not at all meaning the people of this world who are immoral, or the greedy, or the swindlers, or idolaters. Okay, because what he's saying is, listen, I'm talking about like not tolerating something within church. So he says, not at all meaning the people of this world who are immoral, or the greedy, or the swindlers, or idolaters. And then listen to this last line. Verse 10, he says, in that case, you would have to leave the world.
Ooh.
Right? And that's the idea right there. Like, it's impossible to do that. Instead, like you have the right to invest your money as you please. Go with your conviction. Go with the leading of the Holy Spirit. But be very careful not to impose that on brothers and sisters, things that the Bible itself has not clearly denounced.
That's good. Something you said a while ago, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Cut away, my friend.
You were
Cut away.
You were on a roll. You were talking about the can our church sing this type of song?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Thinking about whether it's music groups, the churches that they're from, or, quoting a pastor or a Christian writer. I just want to encourage anybody, if we sent a news crew to document your life, to document your church, your pastor, you might have the greatest pastor that ever lived. They will find something.
Oh, yeah.
And just we're like that verse you quoted, to do that, you'd have to leave the world, like to find somebody without flaw. And so,
yeah,
can we stop obviously follow the conviction? Oh, that doesn't seem like a person with their head screwed on straight.
Right.
I'm not going to take spiritual guidance from them.
Yeah.
But
no, you remind me, I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of like ministry stories today, but I'm a pastor and I have a lot of friends who are pastors, just it's kind of how that works. I had a friend who somebody came up to him and he's a pastor around here, and the person came up to him and said, I really like your church. I'm thinking about joining it, but I don't know that I agree with everything that you believe. And my friend chuckled. He said, I'm not sure that I agree with everything I believe. He's like, like all of us, like we learn, we grow, we learn new things that confront us where we were wrong before. That's how all of this works.
Right.
Yeah.
There was the old quote, I hate to meet a man who I've known many years before to find them exactly as they are, not changed, only stiffened. To find somebody who's exactly who they were 20 years ago.
Yeah. Who wants to be around that person?
No. Yeah. Like
minus Jesus, because he never changes, but he's also perfect. But yeah.
Yeah. I totally butchered that quote, but
no, we get what you mean.
We're all growing. And I bet, man, we should do a separate podcast where Bert listens to sermons that he wrote 15 years ago.
Oh man, I don't want to listen to sermons I wrote 15 minutes ago. Yeah.
But that's what God was doing in your life at that moment.
For sure.
What he was showing you, and that's what wisdom is. Knowledge is one thing. We've got facts and stuff like that, but wisdom comes from living through that life, and yeah, things change.
Good word, my friend.
So I think you already answered this question, but I want to close with this question.
Oh, okay.
Bert, what do I do if my Christian company lets me down?
Well, I think you expect it, because Christian companies are made up of people, and people will let you down.
Yeah.
It's not a cynical thing. It's just a reality thing. Like, you can love people well and still have that expectation. I think there is not an organization that exists that won't get it wrong at points. And in terms of if you remain with it or not, it's going to depend on your relationship with it, and it's going to depend on the nature of the offense. But I don't think there is a company that exists, church that exists, ministry that exists, where somebody hasn't done something wrong. And then that comes down to a whole issue of stewardship and, okay, when should what be owned? And that really is going to have to do with what's happened. But I would say, if you have a Christian company that you really, really love, praise God, pray for them. If you love them, you want to support them, do that. But don't be shocked when people who are in need of the grace of Christ need the grace of Christ.
And that reminds me of, you quoted the verse earlier about what you expect from people who don't believe, which is don't expect them to act like Christians if they're not Christians. And so if a company that has no religious, spiritual affiliations whatsoever, if they decide they want to do this thing, doesn't mean, okay, cut the ties, boycott the company.
Right.
Like, you can't expect them to do anything Christian.
Yeah. Like look, let's say, I love cookies. All right. I mean, that's not a hypothetical. I love cookies. Okay. Let's say, my favorite cookie company. I don't, that's not them, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head, Keebler. Okay. Let's say, I like their, with the soft, what?
M&M cookies?
No, the soft batch.
Okay.
I like the soft batch.
All right.
Let's say they release soft batch cookies with like pentagrams on them. I'm not going to buy the pentagram soft batch cookies. I probably will still buy the other ones. Because I don't feel convicted to boycott Keebler.
Well, if you just turn the cookie, though, it's just a star cookie.
Well, there you go. But the the point is, though, and you said this earlier, that companies at the end of the day they want to make money. That's what businesses do, right? Well, if you don't buy the product, the company's not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if people don't buy the thing, if they don't support the thing, it won't stay in production. So again, if you feel convicted to boycott the company, boycott the company. But that's not a thing for me where I would be like, oh man, I can never have this thing because I disagree with how, the company uses this area of their revenue or this product line. I just won't buy that specific thing. But that's my conviction. And if yours goes against that, again, you need to be obedient to your conscience.
Well, that is it. That's why Christians like Chick-Fil-A. It's really quite simple.
I liked this one, Mark. That was fun.
Yeah. I keep trying. The whole time we've been doing this, I've been trying to think of more Chick-fil-A puns.
Okay.
And I think you...
we'll wait.
I think you got it when you said my pleasure. And that was just... that was the cherry on top of my milkshake.
Oh, there you go. Okay. There you go.
I've been trying to think of a way to use waffle in a sentence.
Okay.
And
you haven't waffled on your convictions? You're welcome.
My pleasure. Well, this wasn't a question that anybody wrote in, but it was just kind of an interesting topic because it was like, really, like, why do Christians love Chick-fil-A? And it just kind of comes down to they love Jesus and they make a great product. There's a million products that have come out throughout the years that are Christian products that were not so great.
Have we said on this episode that Chick-fil-A did not give us anything for saying this?
We have not said that.
Okay.
We are at the moment of recording.
Right.
Nobody has approached us. In fact,
I welcome it.
Yeah, right. I mean, that'd be cool. But like, at the same time, like, I don't love Chick-fil-A because of all this. Like, I love Popeyes too.
Yeah.
I think Popeyes.
Cajun fries, bro.
Those fries.
Biscuits.
Yeah. I think their chicken sandwich has a crispiness. Cool. Let's talk about all our favorite chicken sandwiches.
We should really wrap this up.
We should. Okay. Well, if you have a question for the podcast, please send it to podcast@wearethebridge.org. If you enjoy the show, please help us get the word out by leaving a rating wherever you listen to podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. If there's any way to, write a comment in, leave 5 stars. I mean, if you think it's 5 stars, we would appreciate that.
I don't think it gets better than this one right here. That's a 5-star.
That's right. That's a 5-star episode. No, I'm just thinking about the stars on the Cracker Barrel aprons. Anyway.
Are those ranks?
I think so.
Okay, let's talk about that off mic. Go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks for listening.